How are you doing? I think you can hear me now. I'm gonna unmute
I'm
you.
doing pretty good.
Good. I'm gonna unmute Colleen too. Cool. Hi, Corinne. How are you?
Did you see me? Yes.
I did.
Microphone on.
She muted herself. It's good. Hmm. How's your April wrapping up, Lori?
I didn't get anywhere near as much done as I thought I would for the month of April.
That's
You
okay.
think
It's a crazy
you're not
month.
working. Yeah. Well, you figure you're not working, you can get all this stuff done, and it doesn't happen. I managed to fill up the day and think I'm doing things, but not my goals.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
just baking cookies, cooking meals, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's important too, but hopefully like with some more intention, you know?
Right. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. For sure. Where are you from?
I'm from St. Clair, Michigan.
Okay.
Actually China, Michigan, but nobody knows where China is, so I always say St. Clair.
That makes sense.
It was funny. I was in a Zoom meeting last night, and a friend of mine was in there with me, and she introduced herself and said she was from East China, and then I get on there and I say, well, I'm from China, and everybody's going, well, where's that? So where are you at, actually, physically?
I am in Tucson, Arizona. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Where my husband would love to be.
Oh, really? Yeah. We've been definitely warm. I mean, it's been
We
80s, 90s, and then last week we hit our first 100-degree days. So, and now it's not a normal right now, but
no thanks.
yeah.
We used to own property in Prescott, and once he discovered how against heat I am, Michigan was our compromise.
Right. That makes sense. Good. You guys, Joni, welcome. I see you. Chat room going. Hi, Corinne. Hi, Joni. How are you doing?
Good, good. I just had to unmute myself. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Where are you from?
Long Island, New York. You know,
Okay.
a little town called Seacliff, every Victorian. It's 1 square mile, a lot of Victorian homes, and it's a interesting place to live. We have a lot of parks within the town people can visit, and you know,
Yeah,
but it's interesting. And 2 beaches, one on either side of me, so which is nice.
that's really nice.
But hey, listen, I've been here 40 years. Ask me how many times I've been to the beach. You probably count it on 2 hands. You know.
Yeah, it's true. I always say I like the beach from a distance. Like I love listening to the waves and the water, and I don't have a little desire to like go in it.
I don't know. I'm like my mom. We're petrified of water. So I mean, I'll go up to my knees or something like that. But I'm not a big deep end person, even in a pool.
Right?
You know. So in
Yeah.
fact, when my husband and I got married 40 years ago, he lost his wedding band on our honeymoon in the deep end of the pool. So I was sitting on the edge trying to psych myself out to go into the water to help him. And I'm like, there's a bottom. I just have to push up from the bottom and I can get to the top again, you know? And as I'm getting
Right.
myself ready to go in, he came up and he found the ring. So I was like, sure.
Right.
Happy about that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Very
it's pretty,
good.
it's good. The nice sunsets, you can see beautiful sunsets and stuff down by the water, and it's nice. Really good.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we have in Arizona. Hi, Julie. How you doing?
I'm good. Hi, everyone.
Good. Where are you
Hi.
from?
California.
Oh, very good. What
Yes,
part?
we've had some nice weather lately.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Yep. I'm in Tucson, Arizona,
Okay.
so I'm not too far from you. Well, depending on where you're at in California.
I'm in Orange County, California.
Okay, so that's not horrible. You know,
No,
it's a day's drive, but yeah, I do love California as far as like going to visit and stuff. And I always think I want to live on the beach, but it's just one of those, like I do because I want to hear it, but other than that, I don't really. I don't really.
Well,
Hey.
we were blessed enough to live in the beach cities for 23 years, and not on the sand, about 2 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was perfect. You get any closer, you're dealing with a lot of riffraff. As beautiful as the oceans are and stuff, a lot of people just congregate there, and unless you're really rich and have gardens,
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Anybody else want to say hi? Feel free to unmute yourself and say hi to us.
Hi,
How are you?
good afternoon.
Hi, Michelle. How you doing?
Good, thanks. Hi, Heather.
Good. Where are you from?
Minnesota,
Okay.
don't you know?
Oh,
I think I've got it set up now. How many people do you have on the call?
Okay. Right now it looks like 14.
Oh, that's a
And
nice
I'm
number.
sure, yeah, some more will be joining us. You know, I always have way more registered than remember to make it live, but
Well, I think something popped up. That's why I remembered today.
that's why I send out the email. Like I send out one a couple hours before to make sure everybody has what they need. And then that
Right.
10-minute one is the one that is like, because I know myself too, like if it's on my list and I'm doing something else, if I don't set an alarm or something doesn't tell me, right, then I just like forget all about it. So
At
My
least
alarms
I'm not
are
in that alone.
no, my alarms are pretty important in my life.
I know, right?
Yeah. There we go. All right. Well, it's 11, and so we can go ahead and get started. You guys, just so you know, like you're on mute for background noise purposes, but
Sure.
if you have anything you want to say, feel free to unmute yourself. Like this is definitely not a one-way conversation. Planning
Sounds good.
rarely is, right? And so we have 17 people in here. This is very fun. Let's see. Somebody else wanting in. Okay, so Zoom has changed things recently where now when people pop up, I like have to admit them all individually. They were having some people, you know, like break into Zoom rooms for, I don't know. I don't know why anybody would want to, but they, you know, just cause havoc. Maybe teenage boys, I don't know. So before we get started, I will pray and then we'll get into the material. And then just so you know, I'll stop at each point in time, but I will be asking you, a couple of you, if you want to like share your goals or share your thoughts. The majority of us will put it in the chat box, but I always like a few people to share verbally if possible. And so we'll just go from there. Okay, sound good? All right, so let's pray. Father, we just come before you and we ask you, God, that you bless this time together. God, I ask that you bless all of the people here in the room, the ones that are coming in late and the ones who were here early and all of them in between. And so we know, Lord, that you go before us. And we just ask that you guide our paths as we plan. We plan with you in mind. So we love you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. All right. Well, welcome everybody. And I wonder if we want to just let's do a really, I know some of us kind of introduced ourselves, but not everybody was here. Just a really quick, I have 2 more people waiting to come in. Who you are, where you're from, and let me think. Yeah, we'll just do who you are and where you're from real quick, since there's 23 people, so we'll have to do it really quickly.
Hi, I'm Suzanne, and I'm from New Jersey.
Thank you, Suzanne.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Tatiani. I'm from Miami.
Great.
I'm Adriana Chamorro, and I'm from Miami.
I'm Karen, and I'm from Mount Holly, New Jersey.
Very good.
Hi, I'm Lori, and I'm from St. Clair, Michigan.
Joni.
Hi, I'm
from
Rhonda
Seafield,
Adams, and I'm from Redford, Michigan.
Go ahead, Joni. Thank you, Rhonda.
Joni from Seacliff, Long Island, New York.
Very good. Julie.
Hi, I'm Julie. I'm from Ladera Ranch, California.
Good, good. And Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle from Minnetonka, Minnesota.
Very good. The one that says Adams.
That was me earlier. I'm Rhonda Adams. I'm from Redford,
Okay.
Michigan.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
That's why I was like, I'm going to go in a line here so that I can make sure I get everybody. Okay, Shirley.
Yes, I'm Shirley Bivens from North Carolina.
Very good. And Maria? You're muted. Hold on. I'll unmute you. Okay, go ahead, Maria.
My name is Maria, and I'm from Fort Worth, Texas.
Oh, nice. Maureen?
Hi, I'm Marlene. I'm from Clinton, Maryland.
Apparently I need my glasses on, Marlene, because your L looked like an I.
That's okay.
Okay, somebody just moved around here. Shirley, I think, did we hear from you yet? I'll unmute you. There, I have you unmuted, Shirley.
Yes, I spoke earlier.
Yeah, no, there's a, it's okay. I'm just gonna go to Corrine. I don't know if you can speak or if you just, because I know you typed in the chat box, so.
Hi, I'm Corrine Margalski. I'm from Waupaca, Wisconsin.
Very good. Okay.
Hello.
Hi there. Go ahead and introduce yourself and where you're from.
My name is Kim Shea Moore, and I am from Amityville, New York.
Very good. Okay, Lisa.
I'm Lisa, and I'm from Lake Joseph, Pennsylvania.
Camila.
Hi, I'm Camila, and I am a writing coach and editor from Tucson, Arizona.
Kathy. Maybe. Kathy, are you there? No. Okay, if you have the virtual background of the Golden Gate Bridge behind you, I don't know your name because it doesn't say.
Hey, I'm Kim Meredith, and I am from the metropolitan Atlanta area. I can't really say Atlanta because I'm 30 miles south of the airport in a more rural area, but anyway, for simplicity, Atlanta.
Yeah, that works. Okay, let's see. Mary.
Mary from Missouri.
Very good. Lori. Yannick.
Great job. It's Lori Yannick from Western Pennsylvania.
Very good. I knew I had a couple other Loris on here, so yeah, very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you
Heidi.
as well.
I am Heidi Slav from Michigan.
Nice to meet you as well. Donna.
Donna Fry from Quakertown, Pennsylvania.
Okay. Thank you. Elena.
I am Elena. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts.
Nice. I can hear the Boston. My best friend from college is from Boston. She lives in Spring, Texas now, but yeah, she was from Boston. It was very fun. Oh goodness. Let's see here. I went to page 2. So is there anybody I missed? I know there is because I couldn't see your name on page 2 and then it just mixed everybody in. So go ahead and unmute yourself, say hi. Maybe not. Go ahead.
My name is Anna. I'm from outside of Chicago, Illinois.
Very good. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that like double page of people, it like when I went to the second page, it's not just the second page, it like moved people around. So if I missed you, go ahead and say hi. Otherwise, we will get started. I'm going to share my screen. Did everybody get the workbook that I sent? Very good. Very good. Very good. So I'm just gonna, hi, Kathy. Oh, good. Yeah, she doesn't have a camera or separate microphone. So you're more than welcome to jump right on in the chat box at any point in time. And welcome. We're glad you're all here. I'm like, April was one of those months that like it just like caught up with me at the end of it here. I've been like, April seemed to like both simultaneously go on forever and like all of a sudden be done. I was like, okay, I don't even know what to do with this. So it is time to plan for May. And the nice part about that is we get to sort of look back a little bit and look forward into like what we did get accomplished and maybe like what we didn't get accomplished in April that we need to move into May. And where we want to go from there. So I'm just going to share my screen. It'll be the workbook itself. Okay. So, and if I look over here, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to put it over here so that I can look at you and talk at the same time. Okay. So we, couple of things. When we leave this workshop, I want to make sure that everybody has what they need, not only to plan for May, but like maybe a couple ideas as you move forward into planning your time after that, okay? So I know it's so hard sometimes to take the time, right, to plan, because when we end up in this cycle where we feel like we're like running on this hamster wheel and never really getting anywhere, we never feel like we have time, right, to stop and step back and take a look at the big picture and plan some things. Is it sharing the right? Yeah, it does not have my green line around there. Okay. I'm going to assume that it is. Somebody let me know if it's not sharing the right.
We see your May planning workshop cover page.
Okay, beautiful. Let me add people in here. Okay. Dang, all these things. Let's see if it went to your screen sharing is paused. Why is that? So it's got, no. All right, I don't know why it's doing that. So I'm going to take it off for a minute. Because I don't know what it's trying to do. Anyway, so what I want to do is we'll talk really quickly about the first 3 questions, and then I want to give you a couple minutes to think through them because they're not always easy, right? And so one of them is just very specific to the time period that we're in right now. And it's been challenging, but there's also been some really good things, right, that have come out of being in this time of quarantine or this time of isolation. And I just see so many people like that are have some good things that have come out of it. So that's the first one I want to think about for a minute. And then I put what have you achieved this year so far, so that's important. But also just think about April as well. Like, what did you get done in April that you that you're proud of, right? That you want to share some wins. And then what things, what challenges have you faced, or what things did you want to accomplish that you didn't? And then think about the reasons surrounding that. So you can share those or not, but let's just take like 2 minutes of time real quickly so you have a few minutes to write in your workbook. Or did I send you guys a Google Docs link as well to the same thing? I don't know if I did. So let me, yeah, it's not a write-up, that's not a fillable PDF. It's a printable PDF, but I did create a Google Docs. So let me get that for you really quickly, and I will give you the my drive. And get the link. Sorry about that. I thought I sent that to you. You will have to make a copy of it. So I'm going to put in the chat box right here the link to the Google Doc, and then it will be fillable. There you go. You will have to make a copy though for it to be fillable, because otherwise it'll change it on my end too, because that's how Google Docs work. So yeah, so just take a couple minutes, then there you have that there now. You can type in there. You're more than welcome to share your wins in the chat box or in a few minutes. So when we're doing the couple minutes of writing, you can share in the chat box, and then in a few minutes I'll ask if anybody wants to share verbally, and that will be fine too.
I'm sorry, this is Elena. What are we sharing? I'm sorry, I missed it.
Elena, so the first 3 questions in your workbook, which is what good has come out of this time, right, for you and your family? What did you accomplish in April, or what like big things have you accomplished this year so far? Like share your wins. And then what things have been challenging, or what did you not get done in April that you need to push to May, or that you need to reevaluate, one or the other?
Got it. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, does anybody, again, feel free to type in the chat, but does anybody want to open up their mic and say something about what good has come out of this period of time for you? I see Kim's over here. Kim said she'd been unconsciously avoiding and been nervous about delivering webinars. And so now she was forced to do them because this is now how we're all communicating with each other, right? I love that. And delivered 6 webinars. Woo!
I was just writing down for the first one, I was writing down I'm more relaxed because at work, it's very stressful between phones and coworkers coming to your desk. And at home, it's like a whole different atmosphere. So you're more relaxed and there's a lot less stress. In fact, I find I go to bed very late and I wake up very early. So it's like minimal sleep needed. I started to write about my achievements. I haven't really made any notable achievements so far this year because I've had a lot of things going on in my life. But I'm only in the going in the 5th month. So I still got time. There's plenty of time still to make a good impact on my year, hopefully, you know. The challenges, my office is my challenge. I've had paperwork building up in there for years and I sit there and try to shred and it seems like it doesn't go anywhere, but I'm trying to regulate where I put like an hour at night now. I'm going to start this week and go in there and start shredding and going through papers and deleting a lot. I mean, I'm trying to go paperless billing to try to do all that kind of easy stuff, but you know, that's about all I have.
Yeah, nope, that's great.
Hi, ladies.
Hi.
I do a direct sale business and I've done it part-time because I'm a teacher full-time. But now that I'm home, I really have been able to do so much because I've had time for training and I'm more organized and I'm doing Zoom parties and it's delightful. And what's also so great is that it's a food company. It's Tastefully Simple. And I'm making dinners and now I'm posting on my Facebook and I'm doing just so well. And I've never been so organized. And it's just very enlightening and I'm just amazed. So I want to continue and to inspire others because that's what it's all about.
It is, yes, definitely. Okay, anybody else?
Hi.
Go ahead. Let's, Rhonda, why don't you go and then Tatiana can go after you.
Oh, okay. Did my face go away?
No, we see you. It's just you're in the dark, but we see you.
Oh, okay. I'm scrolling through your book.
Oh, okay.
The first question is, what is the good that has come out of all this? Actually, for me, we are connecting so in my household. It is amazing because I have a 17-year-old who loves to spend a lot of her time in the room because all school is on the computer. So that gives her more of an excuse. But actually, our whole family is just connecting better through this. My family, my husband, everybody. And so we're there, you know, we're all helping each other with different ideals and things. The next thing is I'm working on getting better organized. So I had worked on it some time ago, but I've been able to do that fine tuning, you know, where there's stuff still hanging out like in your to-do tray and things like that. So I've been able to do that. And I'm making myself more visible on social media of what I do.
Yeah.
So I'm like this. I do what I do, but I tend to give it for free.
Mm-hmm.
And when usually I'm helping someone with a project or doing something, research or something for them, they said, oh my goodness, you really need to do this to make money. I say, that's the whole intent.
Yeah, so a lot of people who are entrepreneurs, especially in the online space world, we all have that same problem. And so I had to sit down a little bit ago and very intentionally decide, you know, what I was going to do for free, and what I was going to charge for. And so these workshops are for right now anyway, one of the things I wanted to do for free, especially right now as we, are looking at going to these things. But Rhonda, if you remember this, right, people value what they pay for, and what they pay for, they will have more buy-in, right? So if you want your people to get results, make them pay you.
Okay.
Otherwise, they won't do it and they won't get results. And if you want to actually help them, they need to pay you. Okay.
Okay.
At least that mindset helped me. Tatiana, go ahead. Am I saying your name correctly?
Yes, Tatiani. All right. So in this period of time, well, first of all, I've learned to completely transform my eating habits, which has been a blessing. Of course, great family time, and a lot of, my husband usually travels a lot, so he hasn't traveled since beginning of March, and my kids are home, so that's awesome. But I think that most importantly, I finally understood that God doesn't really want me to be as busy as I like to make myself. So that has been a great revelation to me. And then my first quarter, what have you achieved so far this year? My first quarter in my direct selling business was amazing, and I'm happy for it. And this quarter started a little bit slow just because I had to, learn any way of doing business. But it's been picking up, so that's great. And then during this downtime, I have started writing my second book, which has been something that's been in the back burner for a while. So that's awesome. And then the challenges that I have faced is really learning to be still. I figure that a lot of times I make myself very busy because it gives me the idea that I'm accomplishing things when not necessarily that is the case all the time. So just learning to be still and knowing that I'm still accomplishing things has been a challenge for me. And I love it. It's a great challenge to master by the end of this.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's true again too of a bunch, both entrepreneurs and not. When you're working from home, right? Really, what happens is the problem becomes working more and not working less. Like it's not that we're trying to do too little; it's that we're trying to do way too much.
Exactly.
Yep. And so when I talk a little bit, or if I don't know if anybody here was on my workshop last month, but I talk a lot about, we will here in a minute, actually. Let's just go to that instead. But yes, like busyness is the opposite, right, of being productive most of the time.
Yep.
So yeah. Okay. So as we look now and into this future, right, what are those things that you just said were good that you want to protect and make sure that you carry into your new normal, right? Like what do you want to make sure you keep in your day? And then I'm going to let you answer the next two sort of on your own later, but the perfect day and the perfect week. And the reason I ask both is a lot of times when we talk about the perfect day, people often envision in their head everything like more of like a vacation day. But when we talk about the perfect week, right, then all of a sudden they expand that thinking to include all of the areas of their life, right? Like whether that's work and their family and their church, and all of those things. And so as we go back to whatever the new normal is and whenever that's going to be, so what things do you have right now, especially if you haven't like spoken to me yet, but you want to, what things do you want that you've brought from right now, do you want to carry into, be intentional about carrying into your new normal? I'm reading some stuff in
Hi.
the chat too. Go ahead.
Well, one of the things that somebody had said, I think it was Tessiani, I'm not sure, but was about being being less busy and still accomplishing a lot. You know, I shouldn't say that I don't feel like I've accomplished a lot, but I am, when I think about it, I consciously try to be less busy. You know, take the time to go for a walk, take the time to look at my new seedlings that are coming up, and just to stay present in the moment and not always be worried about, okay, I'm walking the dog right now, but as soon as I get home, I got to do this, this, and this. You know, just enjoy walking the dog.
Right.
And that's one of the things I want to carry forward.
Very good. Anybody else?
It's Rhonda again.
Okay, Rhonda.
You know what my concern has been is to just focus on what it is that I want, what I want to do to service people. Okay. I have a business plan. I have my business plan in place. I've even took it where I was trying to get a loan, and they read through my business plan and everything. They said, well, you have everything together. I have all the statistics, but it's something about, I think because it's like a passion of what I do. It was like maybe about 4 years ago, I said, Lord, listen, you have to give me what it is that I do that I can sum up of what I do. And when I woke up in the middle of the night, it was like I called my sister-in-law and I said, that's it, moving beyond that. So I have a website out there, and what my passion is I just want to help people move from a place of stuck to a place of moving forward and making progress.
Yeah.
So what I do is I actually am a certified facilitator for Prepare Enrich. And I actually sit down with couples and take them through this process of helping them talk to one another in regards to their relationships. I do Living Beyond Loss sessions, one with an agency called For Goodwill Industries, if you've heard of it. And then I work with people on helping them keep their records and books and things organized and getting their, their offices, small offices organized and things like that. And I do tons of virtual assistance work, but I do that on a volunteer basis, or if anyone asks me. I've planned weddings, family reunions. I mean, and it's like, I'm not getting paid for it.
Yep. So one of the things I'm liking hearing you say, right, is like the things you're doing are focused all the way across the scheme of things. You're talking about relationships a little bit. You're talking about work and all those things. And then Kathy here says too, not being so focused on productivity and only work. And so one of the things that I like to talk about is when we're working in an office or outside of our home, right? These breaks naturally occur. And so people come by your desk and talk to you, right? You get up and you walk to the break room to get another cup of coffee and talk to 3 people on your way back. But when we are working from home, right, we have to intentionally build in that time. And so in your workbook, the top 3 killers of productivity are lack of sleep, lack of movement, and working more. Okay. And so all 3 of those things are what I call like the essentials to productivity. Getting enough sleep at night. We all know that we can't focus, right? When we have enough sleep, we focus easier, we make quicker and better decisions, and we're not crabby, so our relationships are better. Yeah, we're not quite as snappy with people. And then the lack of movement, because what happens is we end up here in front of our computers, right? We're working on our computers, we're having Zoom meetings on our computers, If you read in the chat box a little bit ago, Kim, you were talking about always being at your computer and your daughter like, oh, you're at the computer again. And it's because right now, like, we're sort of stuck here, right? Like, we're doing work here, we're having all our meetings here. And so that the way I talk about your planning your day rotates around these natural rhythms in your body. It's the way God created you. Okay, and we see that most easily when we look at our sleep patterns. So if we think about our sleep pattern, right, we have short periods of REM sleep, and then we go in like deep sleep, right? We have this whole sleep cycle we go through. Well, the truth is your body continues that cycle throughout your day. And so you can work, you have about 90 minutes or so of productive time, and then your brain needs a 20-minute break. Your body needs to get up and move. And so if you can try and schedule your days like that, see, this is the thing, like we have the choice and we can push through where our bodies need that break, but you can feel it. Like when you start paying attention, you can feel it. Your brain starts wandering over here, right? All these things, and that, like, just get up and walk outside and check your seedlings, like Lori was saying. Like, that's a great thing to do. And it decreases the feeling of hurry, right? And stress. And when we're in the middle of stress, we all know our brains go to this unfocused fight or flight kind of a reaction, right? Stress brings up that reaction, so our brains can't focus. Whereas if we know, right, we're going to work in 90-minute sections, even if we're breaking that down into 3 25-minute Pomodoro sessions, right, then after that we're going to take a longer brain break. And that doesn't mean you have to like get up and go sleep or go take a, it's not that kind of a break, but you need to switch gears for a minute, not sit in front of your computer. Go change your laundry, go unload the dishwasher, go talk, hang out with your kids for a few minutes, play, giggle, laugh, read them one book, go for a walk outside, all of those things, right, that create some movement in your day, and bring you back to productive when you come back to a work session. And then that third one, that same working more, not lack of, but working more. There are studies that show that our max productivity is anywhere between 38 to 42 hours a week. And beyond that, like if you work 70 hours a week, you're not getting any more done than if you were to work 50, like 0 more done. And between 40 and 50, it's like 10% more. It's not like it's negligible, right? So working more does not equate getting more done, right? We need those, we need those breaks, and we need to build them into our day. So we're gonna switch into goal setting and thinking about May here real quick. And as we do that, I want to talk a couple things about goals. So there's 3 kinds of goals, and outcome goals and target goals are very similar, okay? The only difference is, like, outcome goals, you don't have any control over, like none. So their goals, like, I want this specific position that I'm applying for. Well, you do everything you can to get that, but you're not in control of the outcome, right? You're not in control at all about whether they hire you or not. So then target goals are more like, I want 5 new clients this month. So you have a little bit of control of that, right? Like, the actions that it's going to take to get new clients. And if you don't quite get there, you can do more of those, so you have a little bit of control. But you don't have complete control, because those people have the free will to say yes or no to you, right? And then action goals are the ones we have complete control over. So they are things like, I'm going to clean out my dresser, right? You either do it or you don't. Like, you have complete control over whether or not that happens. So that's all of those action goals are, they're completely under your control. And so I like to focus a good chunk of the goals on action goals, with the idea of producing the result. Let me see. Anna said she missed the duration of time you can work before you need a 20-minute break. It's about 90 minutes. So depending on what level of focus my task has, I either like a low level, medium level task I can do for 90 minutes. I don't do very many things like that. Hour is usually my max, and then I need like a quick 5-minute break. Pomodoro sessions, Pomodoro, are 25-minute sessions and a 5-minute break. So I typically will do 3 of those. And it does something, when you put a boundary on your task like that, like I'm gonna do it within 25 minutes, it makes your brain like focus on that one thing, and it makes you work faster because you've put a boundary or a time constraint around what you're doing. So anyway, those are super helpful. So yeah, the 3 types of goals are whether you have control or not. And Lori says she's better under pressure to accomplish her tasks. And I am too, Lori, just so you know. But the problem was I used to procrastinate to create that pressure, like it served me well. Because like when I was in college, if I wrote a paper the night before, I'd get an A on it. If I wrote it a week before, I'd get like a C because I was like messing with it the whole time. The problem is that fails at some point, right? Like you miss deadlines, you're stressed out, right? So the Pomodoro methods, and it's called Parkinson's Law also, by the way. Parkinson's Law says your work will expand to fill up the amount of time you give it, right? So if I give myself 2 weeks to do something, then I'm not gonna work on it till day 12, and I'm gonna spend 2 days getting it done, right? So if I could have at the very beginning just given myself 2 days to get it done, and I still would have used 2 days to get it done. And the amount of stress that you relieve in your life by doing that instead of actually being up against the deadline is huge. So the Pomodoro sessions and these focused work sessions give you just enough pressure to work faster, right? And you've planned them and put things in them. So can you guys still hear me? So yeah, okay. My AirPods just did something weird. Anyway, it creates just enough pressure, right, to make your brain think it needs to get this done, right, without creating the stress. Okay, and let's see. So I since 3 types of goals are all about control, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So that's like my whole life, right? That's in everything. So when we're writing these goals, you also want to make sure, Maria, what called? Sorry. Thank you, Suzanne. I love this too. I have very much fun. Parkinson's Law. Yeah, it's exactly the same as, when I say Parkinson's Law, people think of Lou Gehrig's. Obviously, it's not related to that at all. But yeah, so it's your work will expand to take up the amount of time that you give it. Okay. All right. And so when you're setting goals, we want them to be SMART goals. And I know like many of us have worked with SMART goals before. It's way easier to understand than it is to actually do, right? So your goals are going to be specific, which 9 times out of 10 means they have a number in them. That's sort of my litmus test to whether my goals are specific or not, right? They're going to be measurable, which means I can track them. right? Or the I did or I didn't, or I hit that or not. They're going to be attainable. And so attainable is one of the ones I always struggle with. And so I have a couple of things, depends on your personality, but there's a system where you can set 3 kinds of goals, and it's the MIO, M-I-O, right? Or, yeah. Yeah, so minimum, so you have a minimum goal, right? An ideal goal and an outrageous goal. And it's the same goal, right? This is especially useful for target goals. So, you know, I want 5 new clients this month. Okay, my minimum is going to be, I'm going to get 3, like without, like that's going to happen. I'm going to make sure that happens, right? 5 is my ideal. That's the one you're always shooting for. And then your outrageous goal is, you know, maybe 8 or 10 or whatever it is. So you have those 3 levels of goals and you're shooting for the middle, okay? But you'll be happy with the minimum, right? The minimum goal will make you happy and you'll be okay with that. And so basically it's trying to, depending on your personality, okay, if you are I'm going to reach for the stars and I may still just land on the moon kind of person and be happy with that. Or if I'm going to reach for the stars and I don't hit them, I'm going to beat myself up over it, right? You know yourself around that. So where to set those levels at. I would encourage all of you that you try and remember, right? That self-talk in your head, try and remember okay, I want 5 new clients this month. And when you hit 4, then it's yay, I have 4 new clients this month, instead of beating yourself up over not getting 5, right? It's still 4 more than you had before, right? It's still a win. Okay, and that's in those target goals. So the action goals, again, we have complete control over. We can track them, do them or don't. The target goals we don't have complete control over, so we might want to set a minimum, an ideal, and an outrageous goal in there. And then the outcome goals, those are the ones we're just going to let go because we don't have any control over them anyway. We're going to do the best we can up until the decision, and somebody else is going to make the decision, right? We don't have any control over those. So relevant means, is this the right goal for you right now? Okay. And so the one that I like to use as an example for this is, I had a friend who, she is a teacher also. I used to be a high school math teacher, just so you, so I have a lot of friends who are teachers still. And when they left for spring break, right, that's when the quarantine happened here in Arizona, was on their spring break. And so when they left for spring break, they didn't realize they weren't going back to their classroom afterwards. And so she was really concerned and wanted one of her goals to be like getting her stuff organized and cleaned up in her classroom. But at that point in time, like, it wasn't relevant. It wasn't realistic. Like, she couldn't make that happen. She couldn't go there. There was nobody on, you know, like, it just wasn't possible. They've since made that possible where they could go in one day and get their stuff. But at that point in time, like, that's what she was worried about. And it just becomes worry. So make sure your goal is relevant, right? And not just something you can't do right now. So it's just, is it the right goal for you right now? And then time bound, you know, are you going to get it done within this week or by May 20th, or, you know, what is that time specific thing on there? And so we all have goals, right, that I call someday goals, right? Those bucket list kind of goals, or just like, you know, maybe some of you want to write a book, right? But you're not focused on it right now. So it's a someday goal. And so it's in the someday file right now. And it's not going to be directly in front of you. But keeping those there and knowing you don't have to put them away, like, that's always a good thing in our brain. Like, we know they're there, okay? So we can all have someday goals. But these ones for the month are going to be time specific. Okay. So does anybody want to share? I'm tired of hearing myself talk. No. Does anybody want to share one or two of your goals for May?
I will.
Great.
As I mentioned to you, Heather, what I really want to do, and it's been my goal for a long time, but now I'll make it time specific, is to reorganize my office into a home office and craft room so that I can start quilting and doing sewing projects.
Okay.
As well
good.
as work there with my computer.
Okay. Very good. I like that goal a lot. I like I told you on the thing, like I love the like doing some work and then having some fun kind of thing. And honestly, if you have that all in the same room, that can become one of your 20-minute like brain break activities. Like, oh, I'm gonna go lay this out real quick and then I'm gonna go back and work some more. Yeah. So anybody else? What do you want to do? Corrine said starting a nonprofit, and she needs to work on the business plan and then set up the paperwork for the IRS. Very good. So the starting the nonprofit, right, is sort of the big overarching thing. And then for May, work on the business plan and set up the paperwork for the IRS. And you can either unmute, Corrine, or type in there, either one. So by the end of May, can you have both of those things done, or are they going to take longer than the month? Yes, so good questions. So she's overwhelmed with all of the writing. Okay, so when we go to there, Corrine, and break down that goal for you, I want you to think about when we are on the break it down page, like what are all of the things that you need to write? And what happens when we feel overwhelmed with something? It's usually because we're looking at too much of it, right? Like you're looking at this business plan and this IRS stuff and like, oh my God, there's so many papers and there's so many things I have to do and so many things I have to write, and it becomes super overwhelming. Whereas if we can break that down into, you know, I need to write a mission statement, and then I need to write, well, for a nonprofit, I think you have to have a board. So I need to pick my board members and put, so breaking that down into all the little steps needed. And then we're not going to ever look at more than 3 at a time of those. You're only going to look at the first 3 you need to do. Okay. And hopefully that helps with some of that overwhelm. Shakita says she wants to organize a home gym and cancel her gym membership. Very good. And organize the bedroom closet, Suzanne. Very nice. Okay, so when you go to Camila says I want it to be a decluttering month. Okay, so I want to think about, right, that goal and break it maybe into some smaller goals. So instead of a decluttering month, okay, Marlene, I'll read yours in 1 second. So instead of a decluttering month, I want you to think about very specific areas, right? So I want to clean out my closet. I want to clean out my home office. I want to clean out, or I will clean out my pantry and refrigerator, right? And then those are the things that are going to be put in our weekly bins when we get there. So I'm going to read Marlene's real quick. I always have a lot of background noise in my house too, Marlene, except right now my husband's actually at work this week, and then he's actually laid off all of next month, so he's going to be home. She would like to finish pulling all of her notes together for the first book that she's been trying to complete while working from home and attending school online full time. Yeah, so you have a lot on your plate right there, right? So when we talk about like the actual daily planning of things, we'll talk about putting some boundaries around that. And being very intentional about what time you're going to dedicate to each thing. And then Lori says she wants to set up a schedule and be disciplined to follow it. Clifton strengths tests are go with the flow. Yeah. So I always like to say, Lori, that I'm like the least obvious productivity coach ever, because 99 out of 100 of them are the one personality type, right? Who this stuff comes easy to them. Like they all through, you know these people, they're few and far between, but they make lists of everything, and then they make lists of lists, you know? And then they have everything scheduled a month, 2 months out, but they're pretty inflexible with how, you know, like you try and encroach on that a little bit, and they're, you know, so it's that personality type that tends to become people who talk about productivity. And it's not me. Like, I can't do it that way. And so, and the truth is 90% of us can't do it that way. And it's because, you know, there's out of the 16 Myers-Briggs personality types, that's only one of them. All of the other 15 of us, right, struggle with this, and we struggle with procrastination, and we have to like trick our brains into not procrastinating. And so this idea of like, just do it this way, it doesn't work for us. And that's sort of what led me into focusing on productivity, because I am a go with the flow kind of person. And I love being spontaneous, right? Like, I love before quarantine time when a friend would call me and be like, hey, you want to go to lunch? I'm like, yeah, I'm on it. Let's do it. Or, you know, go grab coffee. Sure, I want to see him, you know. And if I have everything fully structured, like, I can't do that. But I also want to get my stuff done. Like, I want to make progress and move forward and bring the things into my life that I want to bring. And so I had to come up with ways to make that happen. And so that's where I'm coming from. Okay. Just so, and in fact, I can talk about this right now. I'm going to share my screen one more time.
Heather, I have to jump in.
Yeah, sure.
I have a team member that is her. Oh my gosh, you do not deviate. If she gives you 20 minutes on the phone and it's like the timer goes off at 19 minutes, she says goodbye and hangs up on you. So she's on her schedule, and I can't do that to people. It's just like, yeah, I do have a call, but hey, we're not done yet, so I'll just be late for the second one, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. And so there's a fine line and a balance, right, around putting some boundaries on our time and being able to live life like the way we want to live it.
Right, exactly. I have to tell you though, whenever the coach did my test, he burst out laughing. He said, oh, I'll have to get help for this one because you don't have any strengths that aren't all relationship. And I laughed. We never did get back to it. He just gave me, you know how they do scripture stuff, or at least the one I'm doing is with scripture.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we haven't fixed me yet.
Yeah, no. You don't need to be fixed. You just have to find systems that work for you.
That works. We'll do that.
Okay. So when we're here and we're breaking it down, right, this is what I'm talking about. And so when you put your goal in here, so for Camila, right, it was like organize my house or organize, I can't remember exactly what she said, but you know, it was like this big overarching organization project.
The declutter.
Declutter. Yeah, thank you.
Declutter month. Yep.
So when we break it down here, then we'll break it down into like the doable pieces, right?
Okay.
So, you know, like declutter my home office, declutter my closet, whatever those areas are. And then once we get that broken down, just so like going back to what I was just talking about, these pieces right here are just the weeks.
Okay.
So this is week 1. There's only 4 in May because we start tomorrow on a Friday.
Right.
And so with starting on a Friday, there's only 4. So those are what I call like my week bins, right? So I'm just going to take those tasks where I broke it down and throw them into one of the week bins. Because if I try and plan 3 weeks out what I'm going to be doing on a Tuesday,
Right.
like I just can't do it, right? It just doesn't happen for me.
Yeah.
So
No,
I
that's
so I
same for
know-
me because I have sort of an inconsistent schedule. So
Yeah, exactly. And then things come up.
Yeah.
Right. And so for each one of your goals, that's what you're gonna do.
Okay.
You guys. And then I'll give you a couple minutes to work on that and answer any questions while we're doing it. Okay, yeah, so I was just reading some of the stuff in the chat box. So does anybody have any questions on that and like how to break down their goal? Okay, Michelle?
Yeah, I actually am familiar with doing this. My problem lies in I get stuck in, okay, for example, May. I have a lot of organizational things I want to do in my home that will help relieve a lot of stress. But I find myself not doing them because it's also the season that now it's nice out, I can get my gardening done. And then I'm like, oh, the other stuff will wait because of the gardening. And this happens repetitively for a long time.
Okay. So you know, right, that your gardening or whatever it is going to be important to you, right? And so we're going to make space for those things to happen. So then it's not like, oh, I'm putting off this to do that. It's I have space here where I'm going to go work in my garden. Does that make sense?
It does make total sense. I'm struggling with the piece in my mind where I actually go back to doing my main goal because I want to go do something that I like better.
Yeah. No, and that's the whole thing, right? Around what our brain does with all procrastination is our brain wants the reward. Right? It's very reward driven. And our goals have a reward, but they're typically further out, right? Like when you're gardening, like it's immediate, like you can feel the dirt in your hands and you can feel the sun on your face. And there's all of these really great rewards that come with that. And with the organizing and decluttering, like, there's a reward at the end of it, but avoiding the pain of the middle
yeah,
is
no,
what
that's
your brain
real.
wants to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we talk over here in a minute about how we're going to schedule the day, like down to the day, then maybe that will help you too, Michelle, in those boundaries and trying to get that done. It's super hard.
Okay, one thing that I wanted to mention that I'm happy to hear that you already do, kind of. I actually, I don't know where I heard it, but when I am working on like an office project, I'll set my timer for 52 minutes. I'm not sure why it's 52. I heard it somewhere. And I work really hard at whatever project I'm doing for 52 minutes. And then when my timer goes off, then I do 17 minutes of up and about stuff, like changing the laundry, dusting, cleaning, phone call, whatever. And then that seems to work pretty good. If I can just get these other pieces to fit in, that'd be great.
Yeah. Yeah, and so remember I was talking about Pomodoro sessions a little bit ago. So that's a shorter version of what you're talking about. And so I said we had 90 minutes of productive time. And usually I don't work more than about 1 hour at a time. And then I do a Pomodoro session at the end, or sometimes it's 3 Pomodoro sessions. So it depends on what you're doing and whether it needs 25 minutes of ultra focus or just kind of work on it for 52 and then take a little break. But it's the same concept, right? But at the end of the longest you ever want to do that is 90. Your body just can't focus that long. Thank you, Kim. I don't know if she already left, but she was heading out a few minutes early, so that's great. And then I'll send you guys the So once you have your goals broken down, right, and you've tossed each of the smaller break it down sections into just the week. Like, I'm going to do this on week 2. I'm going to do this on week 3. I'm going to do this on week 4. I never plan my week until I do it the Sunday before. So for some people, it's Sunday evening or afternoon. For some people, it's Monday morning. For some people, it's Friday afternoon, Saturday morning. So it just depends on, you know, the other stuff you have going on in your life. But you definitely want to set aside a little bit of time for a weekly plan, right? And it's that point in time where I look at my schedule and I start putting it into the days. And so I'm going to share one more time. Okay, so here, right, then I have this week-long plan. And if you'll notice, not very many people do this, right? But my week plan has all 24 hours in it. And there's a reason for that. Remember when I was talking a minute ago about the top 3 productivity killers? Well, the first one is sleep, right? Or lack of sleep. Like, yeah. So the first thing, like, I want to put on my schedule are those essential things. And so depending on what's going on during the week, right, I want to schedule my sleep. Now, I say that, well, going back to what Gloria and I were talking about, as you get used to doing this, it can become, and for me, it has become more of a rhythm of my day. So, you know, I say I'm going to go to sleep at 10 o'clock, and it's, you know, between 9:45 and 10:15-ish, you know, and it just, so I'm not like super strict about my times, but this is the general period of time that I want to go to sleep in. And same thing, like, this is the general period of time I want to wake up. I want to wake up by 6. And a lot of times I'm waking up a little bit before that, because our bodies, like, once, this is very interesting, once our bodies get into this rhythm and it knows what it's doing, right? That's why, like, so many times we wake up 5 minutes before the alarm goes off. If our alarm is always set at the same time, it's because our body knows what it's doing. And so it all starts to kind of automatically go through those rhythms, and I let my day kind of go through them as well. So the first thing I want to put on there is sleep. The second thing I want to put on there is, like, my time with God, Bible study, prayer time, maybe a little in the morning, a little in the evening, right? And then I want to make sure, so I'm going to share one other thing with you guys. Let me stop sharing this one for a second. So anyway, so I have the full 24 hours here, and I'm going to set those up. Let me see if I can. I got to pull up a different one to share with you guys. It's got a whole different page here. So this is just an example of it. It's not my exact time blocking schedule, but it's close. Okay, so I use time blocking to schedule my days. And so when we were talking about, so, you know, like, I'm going to spend a little bit of time in the morning. And then I have these 2 activities I do. I do a task snowball, which is 3 to 5 very quick tasks that I start my day with to build some momentum. They can be anything I want to get done. You know, like, a few days a week, it's just cleaning out my chicken coop and maybe sending off a couple emails, like, very quick things that I can check off my to-do list and gain some momentum and go. And then the very next thing I do after that, like, I use that momentum to propel me into whatever it is that I'm resisting doing the most. And so that doesn't necessarily have to be the hardest thing. It doesn't have to be the most important. It doesn't have to be the most urgent. It's just whatever I'm avoiding, right? Whatever I'm avoiding, that's when I do that. And then, like these are the things I break up and block into things that go together. And again, like I said, this is just an example. It's not exactly mine, but this is the other important piece I want to talk about right here. This flex time. So if I'm putting 90-minute blocks in, right, where I'm taking breaks afterwards, sometimes then I'll just do like a quick 30-minute, I make all my phone calls and check all my messages or whatever in that time. But in every single day, right, I work in some flex time or some white space. So I said, leave some white space in your schedule. And so what happens is that spontaneity that I was talking about, right, I plan for the unexpected. So if I fill in all my time with all the things, then I don't have time to be generous with my time, right? I don't, what Lori and I were talking about a minute ago, right? Like I don't have time to chat on the phone with a friend who maybe really needs me to have time to chat with her right now, So if I build in a little bit of white space to every day, then I don't have, oh yeah. Corinne asked me, I'm curious, is there a reason to start the calendar on a Monday versus a Sunday? I got in that habit because I wanted my weekend days together. So it's like personal preference, but I just like my Saturday and Sunday to be kind of blocked together there. So that's the only reason I do it that way. And because in my brain, and for a lot of us, Monday kind of starts our work week. And so that Monday, there's a couple things I do there too. I always put something fun on a Monday. I always put something fun on a Monday. And it's because I do not ever want to fall into the trap of hating Mondays. Like I want, first I enjoy my work. And so that's fun. But if I have something scheduled, and even now, so it'll be like a Zoom, a virtual coffee with friends, or a virtual game night or something, always. And it's so I put it on a Monday, and that's the reason. Like I want something on Monday to be super fun that I'm looking forward to. Because I like, so then and I've always, that's one of the ones I've always sort of done. Yeah. Heidi, you asked, what is the session called? Tell me what session you mean, because I don't know. Okay. Heidi, you still there? Oh, it was a bit ago. Oh yeah, those, I don't know if they have, so Pomodoro sessions are the 25-minute sessions. And then, yeah, there we are. Thank you. Adriana.
Can I say something about I love the idea of doing, of making the day that you would dread be a fun day. I also love the idea of throughout the week, something my friend shared with me is give yourself a gift. So it's what is that thing that you're gonna have to do later if you don't do it now, that you're not gonna want to do it more later. And so instead of saying, oh, I'll do this thing because I don't want to do it later, call it giving yourself a gift. And for me, that's really helped because, whether it's filling up my filter, or it's these little things, right? You unload the dishwasher and you're giving yourself a gift because that dishwasher is going to be empty later. It's going to be ready for you. And I don't know why, but for some reason, I think it's just the words we use, it's that words have power, and speak life and all of that. But because it's I'm giving myself a gift rather than, I'm doing this thing I don't want to do. I've found it to be really life-giving. And it's a game, right? It's how many things can I do in these next 20 minutes, or you can make it even time bound if you want, but for me it's just oh, what's one thing I can do that gives me a gift for later? So I just wanted to share that because that's been really cool for me. So whoever, that's for, yeah, it's a cool,
Thank
it's a
you.
cool one. Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Not
it.
original, but definitely something I love doing.
Yeah, and that's back to what Michelle and I were talking about a minute ago, right? Like the like it's your brain wanting.
You're tricking your brain, but not
Yeah,
really
it
tricking
wants
it.
that
You're
reward.
changing it. You're reforming it, and
Yeah,
we
you're
always want that.
changing.
Yeah.
Yep. Changing what your self-talk is in your
Yeah.
brain. And also when you leave that white space in your day, all of a sudden when you get your other things done, that white space then becomes not just a space of buffer for like pushing things to if something happens in your day, for planning for the unexpected, which is totally relevant. But when that doesn't happen, right, then all of a sudden you do have this gift of an hour and a half or 2 hours that then becomes your choice, right, of what you do with it, without any of the work stuff hanging over your head, because you did get that done, right? So it's like this idea of creating guilt-free work and guilt-free play. And if you have that white space there, then you don't have like things hanging over your head. You have the things that you were going to do that day, and you got them done, and that was all good, right? And then Kim is gone now, but she was saying earlier, right, about having her daughter come in and be like, "Oh, you're on the computer again." Well, it's that's the guilt work time, right? Like, I'm at work, I'm working on my computer, but I really should be spending time with my family. So to eliminate that, then we create space for both of them. When your kids are little, it's much more difficult. Again, like that, the white space becomes even more important, because your day is definitely going to shift, and you're definitely going to have to go with some flow. Because when they're 6 and 7, like even when they're teenagers, I always say my youngest is 17. I know Rhonda, I think, said she had a 17-year-old as well, right? My youngest is 17. And when she needs, like, she doesn't need me very often, but when she needs me right now, right? Like, her whole world is falling apart. And she needs me right now. So yeah, I think that white space then can give you space and even motivation. Like, if I get this done now, I get to spend my white space in my garden, or I get to spend my white space doing whatever. Yeah, Kathy's is her 17-year-old is the biggest interrupter. Yeah, that's if you at least with mine right now, since they're doing school from home online, right? If I schedule things early in the morning, I'm good to go because they're still asleep. Yeah. So Karen's maybe making flex time for her 19-year-old. Isn't it funny? Like, you think when they're little that you're going to have all this time when they get older, and it is somewhat true. Like, they're with their friends, but no, when they need, like, they still need you. They just want you on their own schedule, not on yours. Okay. Let me see if there's anything. I just want to jump to answering any questions, chatting about any of your goals, how to break them down, any of those things that you guys want to like have conversations about, and then putting them in your day. That idea of time blocking. I don't know if I said this, but task batching, right? You're going to put like things with like. So if you're writing, right, then you might want to write like 3 emails and a blog post all in one Pomodoro session, or 2. Usually I can only get 2 done, 2 emails, and then maybe an email and a blog post in the next one, just like, so that when my brain's focused on writing some stuff down, it's writing, you know. Maria said her biggest issue seems to be she's always multitasking. So the idea of time blocking, helps with that a little bit. Like, you know, everything's going to have its own time. So time blocking, I like to think of as like when we were in school, right? We went to math class, and while we were in math class, it was time to do math. But as soon as math class was over, like whenever that time was, then that is put away and we go to English class, right? We're going to do English for this period of time. We're going to be focused on that. So time blocking kind of does the same thing. Like, I'm going to be working on my accounting stuff for the church for this period of time. And if I'm not waiting till the last minute, right, whenever that time period is over, I can put it away and be done with it and move to the next thing that I have some time set aside for. And then if I finish early, right, then I get a little more white space in my day. Something I need to do is track my time for a week. Oh, yes. So one of my clients one time, she was like complaining, like, I never get my to-do list done. I write it out every day and I never ever finish it. And when we looked at it, she was scheduling literally like 20 hours worth of work every, like, of course you're not finishing it. You're one person. And she was just fully underestimating the amount of time, right, that it would take her to do certain things. And so when I start working with someone individually, I have them just for a week, just track their time. I actually have this little, I forgot, this thing's called Timular, and it has like a person, like you can write on it, so you can make it whatever you like. Is it flipping things backwards? But like, there's writing and there's marketing, right? So you can just flip it. Oh, Kathy says she uses it for work. Yeah, you can just flip it for whatever you're doing. And it's a great way for a while to track your time and see how long things are actually taking you. And then if you like the, you know what, Connie, or Corinne, sorry, it's called Timular. I'll put it right here. And I think if you just Google it, yeah, there you go. I forgot the E. Thanks, Kathy. That's what happens. I know it does have an E. That's what happens when I'm typing fast. And then there we go. Tomato timers is a good Pomodoro method timer, right? That it'll automatically loop through it. So you can put it on a loop session, and it'll start your 25-minute clock. It'll sound an alarm where you're like, okay, set everything down and get up. What I love too about Pomodoro sessions is the time's winding down. I'm like, oh my gosh, I only have 1 more minute. And I'm like trying to finish up whatever I'm working on. So it does like make me work faster, right? Like, it puts this sense of urgency there that I want to create. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else want to? No, let's do this. Let me like pray for us. That way, if you want to go, you're more than welcome to go. And then I'll hang out and I'll answer questions and chat with anybody who wants to chat. I'm good for a while. So, okay. Father God, I just ask that you let every single person here know that you love them, that they matter, what they do matters, and how they spend their time matters, not in a shame-inducing way, but just knowing that they have a purpose on this earth that you have placed within them. And God, we want to do everything we can to do what you want us to do and to stay within your will. We love you, and I just ask, Lord, that you go before every single one of these people, that you make your face to shine upon them, that they know, not only what they do with their time matters, but what they get done does not determine their worth. They are worthy because they are yours. They're worthy because they are humans living on this planet with a bigger purpose. And so we love you and we praise you. And we just ask all of these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Rhonda, what do you mean by handle my workshops? Tell me what you mean by that.
Oh, I had just heard earlier you mentioned workshops that you do. Do you do all your workshops in this type of format, or do you do workshops related to what you do as an entrepreneur?
So I have a couple of things going on. One is I decide I do these planning workshops once a month, and for right now at least, and for the foreseeable future, I've decided to do them for free as a way to give back, right? I also have some one-on-one clients, and we do some coaching through that. And then that is usually more, we're talking about all the productivity stuff, but we're usually looking at their goals and how to accomplish them. So like it's more goal specific than just say the overall idea of productivity. So we are talking about writing sales pages and creating content and all of that. Thank you, Camila, for being here. Thank you, Lori. Sorry, I'm gonna finish. Okay, and then I also have a group program that I'm in the middle of right now. So it's not open right now, it's closed. So the couple of things, I do right now are these workshops. This is the last, I only did 2 though for planning for May. So that's, 4 hours of my month, which I think is, it's not a ton. So it's good to, I always think of my time and my money, both in terms of, like I tithe my time. And so that's sort of what I think of here with this is part of that, as well as my volunteer activities at the church. And
so what you do in your career is your career, because it might be a struggle for me in what I'm trying to do as a business, because I do work from home. I do virtual customer service from home.
Okay.
And the things that I was mentioning earlier that I just do, I think I have to like narrow it down. That's just my ministry part. And I think what I'm doing is I'm just overthinking it. And I think that's what tends to frustrate me sometimes. Right. And
I do think you need to, yeah, and you probably need to sit down, right, and list out all of the things you do, and what you're doing as a paid service and what you're doing as a free service, right? And just be intentional. Really, that's the crux, right? Of even with our productivity, when we start feeling like we're spinning our wheels, it's because we don't feel like we're being intentional about what we're putting in our day. And so it's the same thing here, as far as like, be intentional about what you want to give away, so that when somebody asks, so this is, I'll tell you, this was a huge mindset shift for me, especially in relationship to church and volunteering. And I love, like, I am the vice chair of the board there, and I'm the treasurer. So I give them a lot of my hours, and I'm the tech lead. So I do that too. And we have a church of about 400, so it's not like a small undertaking. So now when they ask me like, hey, can you do this? Right now, I'm like at the top of what I'm able and willing, not able, but willing to give up for free, right? In that capacity. And if I quit like being the treasurer, they have to hire a bookkeeper, right? So it's not unreasonable for me to say, no, I can't do that right now. And so this big mindset shift for me came in with going from, I don't have time to do that, to like really taking a step back and thinking, okay, is that my priority right now? And if the answer to that is no, then the answer to the person who's asking me is no. Like I can't, like I'm sorry, that doesn't fit with my priorities right now. And it sounds a little bit harsh, but it's a very good like gut check for me instead of like, oh, can I fit this in? That's not the question. The question isn't, can I fit it in my schedule? The question is what you're asking of me a priority for me right now? Right? Like, does it fit in with what my priorities are at the moment? And tithing of my time is one of my priorities. So I get to be intentional and choose how I do that. And I think that sounds like, maybe it's sort of like, have you ever asked a company for a donation and they're like, I'm sorry, we've given all we had allotted to give this year or this month, right? It's the same thing with your time. Like, you can say, I'm sorry, I've given away all that I can right now. And it's a really good way to just let your yes be yes and your no be no. People would much rather you tell them no than tell them yes and then like drop all the balls. Does that make sense, Rhonda?
Yeah,
Does that help?
thank you.
Okay. I know it's not like fun, like, it's hard to say no to people, but it's necessary for you, Yes, Karen, I love the book Boundaries. So there's boundaries in marriage, boundaries. I love all of them. They're great books.
It has changed my life recently, like that book, because I didn't know how to say no when I got myself in a predicament where a very overwhelming predicament, and it just showed me, wow, if I would have read this book, I would not be here.
Yeah, you just wouldn't have, and it's not, I mean, it's good to know, like, you just wouldn't have been in the situation to begin with, right? Where you have to feel, because then we just feel guilty or we feel shameful. Like, none of those things are helpful for any of it.
Right.
One of the things I was told was that no is a complete sentence. I don't have to offer explanations or anything else. If I don't have the time, I can just say no. I don't have to tell them I have this, and this to do,
Right, yeah.
Heather, my name is Maria, and I have a question for you.
Yeah, of course.
So how do I know more information about one-on-one coaching? Because I feel like I need it more one-on-one.
Okay. So what I do, because that is it's a relationship, right? So if you go to my website, which is just heatherrossin.com, there is a place on there where you can click to, and it's like, it really is a fill out an application for one-on-one, but that's really not the case. It's really setting up a phone call with me so that we can have a conversation on the phone and make sure that the relationship is going to be beneficial for you as well as for me. Like, make sure I can give you what you need. And right, does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I never ever want to tell somebody I can help them and then turns out that I can't, for some reason, whatever that. It could be a personality conflict. It could be, an expectation. We're also like relaying expectations back and forth during that phone call. So then everything's very clear. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I have a question.
Yes, Karen.
Do you believe that, like, not being able to get something done, that there could be like a mental block?
Sometimes, yeah. And what happens, like, I see it a lot with people as far as like, like even Kim was saying earlier, and like doing workshops or doing live videos on Facebook. They're like, I don't want to do, and it's just like, once they do it more than once, it gets easier and easier every time. And so sometimes it's just the encouragement or the accountability to take those first few steps. And that is, in essence, a mental block. Like there's nothing, our brains are crazy. They're incredible, right? And they start telling us we're in danger when we're not.
Right.
Right. And so that's sometimes where that comes in, is our brain is trying to protect us and we just have to be able to step back. And a lot of times, you know, none of us, myself included, we can't see our own forest, right? Like we're standing in the middle of it, the trees, we can't see it. And we all have blind spots. And so, you know, those mental blocks can come from blind spots, or they can just come from, there's a lot of things that are mental blocks because of like trauma induced stuff from early on in our lives, or maybe not so early, you know, anything in the past. So the short answer to that is yes. I do think they can be mental blocks for sure. And then how we push through those just depends on, that's honestly why reading scripture, yes, Michelle, if you're still, yeah, I'll send that to you. That's why reading scripture sometimes helps clear that, you know, and daily affirmations kind of stuff, right? Like telling yourself what God says about you each day helps clear some of those mental blocks. And it's all, I mean, people, it's all mindset.
Right.
Yeah, it's all mindset.
All right. I'll pray about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could you repeat your website again?
It's just Heather. I can put it in the chat box too. It's just heatherlawson.com.
Okay, my Google just won't. It says that you can't find that site.
Try putting the www in front of it. Sometimes
okay.
Yeah. Sometimes it gets snippy.
Yeah. That's right. I forgot about that. Thank
Yeah.
you. I found it. I found you.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else?
Heather?
Philippians 4:8. Yep. Yes, Michelle.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciated this. I am going to work on the things that you shared. And when I get stuck, I'm going to reconnect with you if that's all right.
I would love it. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And anytime you want to reach out, you've got my email too. So if you've got some information going out that you have to share, please include me.
Yep. I'm going to put together, by the middle of this month, I'll have a mini course on procrastination and beating procrastination and what it is. And so I'll send all that out to you guys. No worries.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing. Procrastination is my favorite.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Take care, Heather. It was a great session. I really look forward to the next one.
Joni. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You have a great day and be safe, healthy.
Yes. You
All right,
too.
bye-bye.
Yeah, Corinne, you can eat an elephant one bite at a time. Yeah, as long as you don't try and do it all in the last hour, right?
Thank you, Heather. This was wonderful.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Okay, you were a blessing today. Just to be here with you and everybody else.
Yeah, right now it's really nice to see people's faces, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shirley.
Hey, Heather, one more question.
Yes,
Where
Karen.
do you go to church?
It's called Christian Faith Fellowship, and it's
Okay.
a Wesleyan church, which when I started going there, I was like, I don't know what that is.
Right, yeah, I don't know what that is.
But so it's really not, it's like non-denominational, but has, a bigger structure to it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. I didn't grow up in church, but the first church I attended was a Pentecostal church.
Mm-hmm.
And I love them and I love all of the people there. It just didn't quite fit me, And then I went to a church that was definitely non-denominational, which we weren't there for very long, but it became a problem because he didn't have any oversight, and it became, it just wasn't, it was really not a good situation. It was a toxic kind of church,
Oh,
not a
sorry
good
to hear that.
situation. Yeah. And so when we left there, we went to where we are now, and I've been where we are now for well over 10 years or longer.
Oh, wow.
And been serving. And so it's I love it there, it's got, and
That's
I'll,
great.
it's not like I think all non-denominational churches are bad. We just had that one experience where he could have used some oversight from some bigger
Right.
organization.
Yeah, well, I'm glad it didn't deter you from God. Because
Yeah,
that can
no,
happen.
and I know people it has, yeah.
Yeah,
And so
me too.
I reach out to people as much as I can who I know have left there and not gone back to church anywhere, because
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
happened, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it was great meeting you.
You as well.
Great class.
Thank you.
I appreciate you bringing God into it too. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, like I said, I taught high school math for years, and so, and I never would say I should be able to, but always having to leave him at the door, at least verbally. So when I started doing my own thing, I was like, yeah, I'm just not going to do that.
That's awesome.
So,
That's really great.
yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, take care. And
It was
I
so good to meet you.
probably be part of your procrastination class.
Perfect.
See ya.
I like that idea. Thank you.
Does your church have a website?
It's cfftucson.com.
cfftucson.com. Okay.
So Christian Faith Fellowship, CFF, and then Tucson.com.
Yeah. I went kind of through a traumatic experience after 21 years being at a church.
Yeah.
And I could understand what Kareen said, because I just gave so much. And then when the pastor passed, the board kind of like went, whoops.
Oh.
Yeah, so I've been somewhere else for a year and a half, but it took me a little longer than I wanted to, which was like probably almost a year in between. But yeah,
It's okay. I mean, it is hard when you leave a situation that is difficult. There's things, so I'll just, when I started going to the church I go to now, I had already known the pastor a little bit, and he knew of the situation in the other church. So he had he knew they were crazy.
Miss Adams? Miss Adams?
Yes.
Don't forget that when your pastor left or was gone, remember that not only you, but the entire congregation, including the church leadership, needed to grieve.
Exactly.
And so you needed to have someone there who is trained to actually allow people to go through the grieving process. And it may take, well, just like any other loss, is that each person goes through that grieving process differently at different times, etc. And so without acknowledging what God put into us, is that loss and being able to grieve properly, and then the healing doesn't begin until that actually happens. So that is why people struggle in a church, for example, and it could be any kind of church, whatever kind of denomination it is, whether it's a particular organized or a non-denominational, it doesn't matter. And that's where the church leadership needed to get someone in there to help with the congregation, its members, and to be able to go through that process, for each individual, but also collectively as a church. And it just becomes so crazy that the healing never really begins. And so that's why a lot of churches lose people because of that, or we lose people, not just the numbers in the church, but we lose them spiritually as well, because they're wounded and they need to have proper healing. So sorry, I'm talking too much, but the idea is that when you mentioned that, and your other thing that you were talking about before about listening to you talk about doing a lot of different things. And I've had that experience myself. So I talk with experience, but to actually focus on what best suits you and connecting to the people who you want to serve the most. God will listen to your heart. And I think God will then speak through you. Holy Spirit will speak through you to help guide you. And I'll pray for you, Miss Adams. I will pray so that it will help you in what you're going to focus on and do your thing, because I could hear and see your face, although it's a little dark, but because the light's behind you, not in front of you.
Yeah, I
but
don't
your
know.
passion.
They have a light on. I don't know what this. I don't know why it's so dark.
It's your window. It's your window behind you.
Oh, it
but
is.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's your window behind you. If you were turned the other way, we'd see you better. But the idea is that your passion is there. God gave you that passion. It's there. I could hear it through your voice. So maybe Miss Heather will help you guide you in that process as well. So I'm going to keep you in my prayers, Miss Adams, and hopefully that you'll God will give you and set you on that path of purpose of where God needs you to serve, who God needs you to serve too. God bless you.
Oh, thank you so much. God bless you too. Now I'm emotional.
Didn't mean to do that to you. Sorry. God calls us to come together for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's so good. And when I send you, Rhonda, I'm going to send you guys who are here live I have another workbook called 3 Pillars of Productivity, Clarity. And really what that is just exactly what Corinne was just talking about, as far as like narrowing down your focus and thinking back through both your past, right? And then like your core values and that kind of stuff to give you some clarity on what God has been telling you all along, right? Your whole life. And then to just sit and listen and like focus in on, who am I supposed to be serving? Who am I supposed to be helping? And how am I supposed to be serving them? Because it'll be life-giving to you as well as to everybody that you serve in the future. And so it's that same, like, we have to put our own oxygen masks on before we can help somebody else, right? Like, you have to let God fill you up. You can't serve out of an empty cup, right? And I think it's John Maxwell who says, there's not any like high energy people and low energy people. There's people who are pursuing their purpose and people who don't have any direction. And so that's his distinction there. And then as Christian women, right, then our purpose is, our calling is just our purpose with a divine touch, right? Like God is just in it because we're following him and doing what he wants us to do, not the other way around. And so hopefully those questions can help you as well. Like just think through, because I think Corinne is right. Like that feeling scattered, right, comes from doing many, many things. And it's really good because you're good at so many things, right? Like people ask you to help them plan weddings or plan the things they ask you to plan because you're good at it. But the lack of focus becomes difficult for you. You know, it just starts feeling like you're pulled in 30 directions.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so amazing. I'm sitting here at my desk and I have like 3 file drawers of documentations. I have PowerPoint presentations I have done workshops with, and I have everything I've done, and I got it so organized and step by step. I could kind of show people so much on how to put things together, and it's like, and I think my mind just probably over processes because I'm always thinking. I'm up when I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm thinking about a project or what can I do or what type of book, what's the book title? And I have things all written down. I have so many journals.
Yeah.
And missed something. Yeah, but I could be here all night, so I think I better say bye.
Okay. Thank you, though. I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate your input, and I appreciate hearing from you. And yeah, I'll join. I'll pray for all of you guys. I don't know. It's sort of but I'll definitely be praying for you in this, like giving you some clarity on which direction you want to go, which direction God wants you to go.
I'm on your website now, so I think I'm gonna sit here on your website for a minute.
Perfect.
Because, yeah, it's really holding my attention here right now.
I'm going to add about 3 blog posts to it here in about an hour, so there'll be more information there.
Okay. Okay, it was good to be
All
here
right.
with everyone.
Thank you. It was great to
Bye-bye.
meet you. And Corinne, thank you for your input. It's
Yes.
true and appreciated. And when you go through difficult situations, whether that's relationships or church, or there's some trauma involved there with it's loss, like she said, and there's grief there. And when we don't process it, it just sort of leaks its way in later.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So thank you.
You're welcome. It's we all have to come together, and I think that, you know, God called Heather to come and bring people together for a reason, and we don't always know what it is. We may think that it's just to kind of help us get organized or whatever, but God has a greater purpose, and I think that just becoming or making those connections, or just for that one brief moment for one person, we never know who God works, how God works through us for other people, and it's just amazing, God's plan. I mean, we don't always know it, and sometimes we incidentally fight against God in that way because we think that this is the direction, or we get pulled into a different direction. We never really take the time, those quiet times like Heather was talking about, is those quiet times to actually listen to Holy Spirit speak to us. And because Holy Spirit is our guide, our counselor, you know, our teacher, etc. And we forget that. We're so busy. And I don't want to say that this whole quarantine is a godsend. Again, I don't want to be misquoted by any means, but it does give us time to sit back a little bit. We've been in such a hectic world that, as I chatted earlier about, I could see that this earth is trying to heal, and without us interfering with that. But it also goes for us as well, you know, is reconnecting and on a different way, which is okay, you know, that we have to do it via computers, which I have to have my 15-year-old daughter help me with stuff. but the idea here is that this one quick connection, you know, is what perhaps, Heather, your whole thing was really all about, was to help the grieving process for, you know, Miss Adams. Maybe that's what this whole thing was all about. You know, I mean, I know it's not your goal, but the idea was, you never know how God works through you in different ways, and how many people you can touch, and what each one of them are going through personally. But and that ripple effect of how you serve in this way, and then how it affects those rings that continue to go. And God shows us these things in so many different ways. And I think that coming together is a good thing, of women of faith don't necessarily get that opportunity to do that. And of being with women of like mind and of faith, and even though different religious backgrounds, but that doesn't really matter. You know, it's just something different. But the ideas of coming together to connect, that relationship is what we're designed and created to be. So I could go on. I'm sorry.
No.
I know why the writing of the business plan is impossible, because I'm a person who talks.
No, that's the other thing you could do with that. Sorry, is I just thought, like, you could just speak all that writing.
I wish I could go to the IRS and say, here's my business plan.
Yeah.
So write it all up and process it. And that's the thing. So, is to connect with people. And I think that, for me, it's just sitting down and, just to write. And that's not who I am. It goes against my actual nature, because I am a talker and a hands-on kind of a person. To sit down and write, I'd rather have teeth pulled than to have to sit down and write. But so that's why I'm just trying to get my head in the game, so I can force myself to do something that is not my forte.
Right. Yeah, build in some rewards for yourself and do it in small chunks.
Oh yeah, my elephant.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
My big elephant.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your time on this, and hopefully that we'll reconnect in some way and look on your website and stuff, and go and continue to your next monthly thing of procrastination, and because mine is that whole thing for that nonprofit. It's huge for a 501c3. It's just enormous.
It's a big undertaking.
It is, and I don't have a team that writes. I have just doers, and so it's all on my shoulders, and that's driving me crazy.
Yeah.
So I just have to figure the time and the writing, and it's like I said, the language and everything else that go along with it and stuff. And so one day at a time.
For sure.
We'll get there.
Sure.
Well, thank you so much again.
You, and I appreciate you being here and for your input. I love it. So thank you.
Well, thanks again. So God bless you and your family and your church. So hopefully you could be able to continue doing the activities that you still do as well for yourself and your family. But and
I do love that. I'm working actually on transitioning the treasurer part to somebody else. I don't mind doing it, but it's definitely not what feeds my soul right now. Yeah. And like I said, I lead the tech team, and that right now I'm loving, because obviously, like right now, it's sort of all on us.
Yeah.
At this point in time. And so, but I like, we're always thinking of new things and implementing new things, and, just trying to make things better all the time, which is really where that's what I love doing, is trying to make things just better than they are. So even when they're already good. So, yeah.
Well, good. Well, take care. Thanks again.
Yeah.
And
thank
have a good
you.
day.
Okay, great. You too. God
Bye
bless
now.
you.
God bless
Bye.
you. Bye now.